to another edition of Honorable Mentions, the show which you're watching, unless you're not, in which case, why would I tell you what you're doing? My name is Rachel, and I am the host, and I'm doing great. I hope you guys are too. I hope you are enjoying the stream so far. I hope you just watched Kendra and Zach. They have moved from their Thursday night slot to their Wednesday night slot. That is a permanent change. That is not a one-time change. If you want your Marxist talk show content, you watch them Wednesdays at 8:30 now. That is true. Today we have a lot to talk about. Today we have a lot to look at. I was thinking I wanted to do like a really brief first of all, if you are in the chat, before I get to anything else, if you are in the chat, feel free to say hello. Feel free to say you're welcome. Feel free to take advantage of this wonderful new incentive offer that I just had the idea for, which is that if you put your handle in the chat, I will follow you on Twitter. That is a new incentive that I just thought of literally moments ago, but I will not follow you if you don't do that. That's true. I'm going to unfollow everyone I've been following. This is not true. But wouldn't it be funny if I unfollowed everyone I was following and only refollowed them if they went into the chat of my Twitch show and put their handle in, letting me know that they've watched the show. Otherwise, how would I know whether they really support me and the work that I do and the art that I make? I don't think there's another possible way to make that clear to me. I think you have to put your handle, account handle, in the chat to let me know that you are watching. Again, if you are watching at all and just want to say hello or hi, or just put in like a fun little comment like, where am I? Or hello from Brazil. Also, those kinds of comments are more than welcome. You don't have to be from Brazil to say hello from Brazil. That's something I just thought of right now. The fact that I have taken it for granted that everyone who has said they're from Brazil is really from Brazil. And I'm like, who knows where they're from? They could just be excited to pretend to be from Brazil. Hello, Tara. You're excited for the orbs. Orbs, 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 orbs. That's true. Let's get straight into the orb stuff, guys. Orbs were big this week. Orbs were the talk of the town, the mutterings of the moat. They were the yellings of the yurts. It's your orb time today. The big meme this week has been orb memes. The orb meme. If you go to know your meme orb, pondering the orb, know your meme, pondering orb meme has exploded this week in popularity, in creativity. I would say this is a rare meme that we are experiencing. I will retweet your Cisco orb tweet, Pfeiffer. I will do that. If you go to Pondering My Orb, basically it was taken, I think, from an RPG of the Lord of the Rings, like offshoot role-playing game. And I hate all websites. They always have 1,000 things on them that make them impossible to open, including like a video. We don't need a video from you guys. So basically, everyone has been taking this original photo of just a guy's orb from, again, it's like a, it's a Tamar and Mayar in 1993. So 1993, that's 2003. It's an almost 30 years old supplement to a Middle-earth role-playing game based on The Lord of the Rings. The cover art was created by English historical and fantasy illustrator Angus Mcbride. Angus Mcbride, if you did not know who drew this and wanted to thank them for giving us such a good name, that is who you would be thanking. You would be writing Angus Mcbride in particular a thank you note. Now I actually am very curious. I'm going to close the Know Your Meme page because it is going to destroy my computer. My computer is like, why would you ever open a website that's not one of the 3 websites? You fool! We're going to look up Angus Mcbride right now. What is he doing? What does he look like? Who is our beautiful meme man? It's not an orb. It's a palantir. I don't know what a palantir is. But if you go to, according to Fine Art America, at the risk of opening another website. That's not one of the 4 websites. We're going to see if we can get a little bit more notice on him. So unfortunately, poor Angus Mcbride never got to see his orb and his pondering man come to meme fruition. He unfortunately passed away in 2007. Before that, he was a historical and fantasy illustrator. This is a fun background you're not going to get on other shows, folks, because nobody else probably cares. So according to this, fineartamerica.com, this is some great reporting by me, by the way. According to fineartamerica.com, these are some of the photos which are done by Angus Mcbride. I am going to assume that this is the same Angus Mcbride who did the Pondering Orb Man. So yeah, you can see some beautiful, these are all, I'm going to say it, a lot of these seem meme-worthy. A lot of these seem like they're on already the precipice of being memes. If you want the next big meme, look up Angus Mcbride's art on fineartamerica.com. So we're going to just put this, I think, what I want to do, we talked a lot about orbs already. We're going to get more to the orb stuff in a moment, but I just want everyone to know one of my dreams, and I'm not actually joking, this is true about me. One of my dreams is that one day I will initiate one of those huge fucking memes that everyone does. So that's my dream, and I hope that one day it happens, and maybe it's just by pointing out that Angus Mcbride has a lot of cool art. So the 2MB Twitter, we're just going to point out word of breaking news. Angus Mcbride, aka guy who drew Pondering Orb Wizard, also drew more pictures. And they are all highly meme-worthy. You get your new meme-spiration here, folks. So yeah, R.I.P. Angus Mcbride, died in 2007. Never really got to see. That was, I believe, 2007 is 1 year before the creation of Twitter. So he never got to see even the platform, which would one day create an absolute chicken run on his creations. But you know, sometimes you don't get to live to see yourself come to prominence. I just watched a movie about John Keats. He died thinking he was a failure, much the way that Angus Mcbride died, not knowing that we would all be looking at his Pondering Orb Man. A Palantir is a loader thing. BT dubs, I do pronounce LOTR loader. I don't know if that is typical. It's how I've chosen to say LOTR. Palantir, I'm only really familiar with it as sort of like an evil-sounding company. I believe by human vampire Peter Thiel. I believe he runs that company. So just letting you guys know. Pfeiffer has the perfect epitaph. I believe Pfeiffer is actually quoting Angus Mcbride's tombstone, creating beautiful art and dying before Twitter existed, a perfect life. That is, I think, a beautiful way to go out, if I do say so myself. So now that we've kind of found out who is responsible, and I know that it's so typical to talk about these memes without talking about who gave them to us. So I do want everyone to know Angus Mcbride, the guy who gave us the Orb Man. But here are some Orb memes for you. I will have to say that this did not come up in the search except as a promoted tweet. This Flow from Progressive ad very much feels like an Orb meme, despite I believe just sort of showing up automatically. I think that's kind of beautiful in itself. So lots of orb memes. This one's got to be one of the top ones. Wizard with an orb earring. Of course, changed the girl with the pearl earring into wizard with an orb earring. This is not necessarily like the best joke, but it's by far some of the best execution of a meme that I've seen. What I really love about this meme is that people are really, taking out their Procreate tools and really creating some beautiful pieces based on it. In case you didn't know, this guy named Goran Glivovich says the wizard pondering orb meme from the meme is actually Saruman, and Angus Mcbride, the artist who painted the piece, has a lot of more incredibly cool little art stuff. So he also is on the case. So other orb memes, let's look at them. I love this one. This is, of course, Icarus and the orb. He just loves that orb so much. Here he is playing basketball with a demon. Some more. What if we... I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on with this one. Maybe I'll know it if I click on it. This is from maybe some sort of anime. Is it a radiation tool? The Demon Core memes are top tier. I don't know what a Demon Core is, but obviously enough people knew what this was that it got 324 likes. So obviously the fault is with me and not with them. There is a joke there. This one is classic wizard devouring his orb. We all love Saturn devouring the sun. It's not really, I would presume to say that something is not an official meme unless people have tried to create a version of it with Saturn devouring his sun. I just feel like that's an important part of the meme life cycle. Then we have, of course, this takeoff on Escher. We've written a lot of jokes about Escher on this Twitch show. Really enjoy his work and really enjoy it when we get to make light fun of it. Then, of course, we have I'm not paying $32 for the orb, Jerry. A lot of Seinfeld in these orb jokes. I think that people find Seinfeld and a Loader illustration, fantasy illustration, like a good combination, kind of like peanut butter and jelly. I've seen a couple of different versions of these, not just the same picture floating around. I believe that more than one person has done this particular mashup between pondering the orb and Jesus taking your drugs for you. So that's there. Then we have some, fatal error message. What if the orb was pondering the dude? What if the orb was pondering the dude, but he wasn't even in an orb? Then we have a lot of people doing their kind of like fan art with like the orb scenario. This one is, again, a variation of the one we saw before, where what if the orb was actually his head? That's a lot of fun. What if the guy was trapped in an orb? What if the wizard said, hey, here's Ponderball, as, of course, a fun little joke about Wonderwall. I actually forget who said, hey, here's Wonderwall. I forget if that's how that started as a meme. Know Your Meme would probably know, but again, their website is weird. Hello, Abolish. Hi, Abolish. Where you saw no footprints, it was there that the orb that carried you. Exactly. This, of course, is an excellent takeoff on the season 2 sketch of I Think You Should Leave. Really great work there. Lots of people doing doing fun fan art that they are sort of taking him in other directions. I love this Seinfeld one. What's going on in there? Oh, you mean the blue? We're pondering the orb, Jerry. Pondering the orb does feel like a thing which Kramer would do. So that's a lot of fun. Here we actually have a message from our friends at Wizard Seeking Wizard. Is your wizard telepathically communicating about orbs? Know the lingo. LOL, longing for orb look. LMAO, looking into my astounding orb. And ROFL, reading orb futures, legitimately send tweet. And there might be a good question about why, again, has a 1993 piece of art trended now? And I just think that people are in the mood for something light, for something silly. I think that we all are fans of wizards, especially well-drawn ones. We're all fans of doing something benign that is also sort of vaguely threatening, like pondering an orb. And yeah, I think once people just kind of got a hold of it and decided to go fun with it, it just really caught on. And that's kind of what memes are all about. And you really can't, again, you can never predict what will go viral as a meme, but I think this one, its charms, at least to me, seem pretty intuitive. It has intuitive charms, and who can say that about themselves? I certainly cannot say it about myself. Question, is the orb completely unrelated to the Saudi orb that you know who touched? I believe, to my knowledge, those two memes, or those two pictures, have no similarities besides the orb touching. besides them being orbs. I just don't think that they have anything in common. This, of course, is Bernie pondering his orb. Very fun. Yeah, you just throw the orb in there for whatever. I also think the orb is like a nice round object, which is both very identifiable as well as being very easy to kind of cut out and move and to display in different pictures and in different scenarios. You can kind of pop an orb in anywhere. This one's one of my favorites, is of course, quit pondering my orbs and look me in the eyes. That's, of course, making fun of Terry Hatcher's character from Seinfeld and making fun of, I believe, Jerry's indecision about whether or not her boobs are real. So that one's a little fun one also. So yeah, you can just go on forever. This guy is, of course, a joke making fun of the guy who holds too many limes. I only learned about that meme today through the orb meme. So that's something that I learned. I learned about the meme regarding the man holding too many limes. We're always learning. I know this one is porn because I've seen it already, so we're just going to very gently not scroll down there that far. I didn't know about the too many limes one. That one was, I think that one wasn't quite as omnipresent as some of the other ones. Again, more facts about Angus Mcbride if you're curious. He was born in London to Highland Scots parents. He was orphaned as a child and his mother died when he was 5, and his father in World War II when he was 12. He was educated at the Canterbury Cathedral Choir School. He served his national service in the Royal Fusiliers, and afterwards got a job as an advertising artist. Due to Britain's poor economic state, he found it necessary to leave for South Africa. He became fairly known in Cape Town. However, he could not expand on his artistic plans in South Africa's small publishing industry. That's why he moved back to England. He made his first works in educational magazines such as Finding Out and Look and Learn, World of Wonder, and Bible Story. In 1975, he began work with Osprey Publishing's Men at Arms series. It seems like he went back and forth between England and Cape Town and continued to work with British and American publishers. Although a few of his paintings are in oils, he mostly worked in gouache colors on illustration boards, making numerous detailed sketches of the composition before starting to paint. He died in 2007. So a great life well lived by Angus Mcbride. And he lived a long time too, so everyone should feel like he did a great job. Thank you, Angus, for the Pondering the Orb meme. We cannot thank you enough. Other things this week. What else have we been enjoying? Let me go to my drafts folder. I didn't make much of an organized version of the show today, but I did make put a bunch of links in my drafts folder. That is how I remember to do things. One thing I noticed this week, this week had to have a joke of the week. Some of these jokes are not from this week, but I thought that altogether this qualifies as a joke of the week. Sometimes on Twitter, there is a phenomenon, and that phenomenon is when everyone makes the same joke without checking to see if anyone else has made that joke. It's very common. It's a very understandable impulse. One thing about it is you may operate from fear. You're like, I don't want this joke to have been told before, so I simply will not check to see if it has been. Another factor is ignorance. It often doesn't occur to people. It doesn't occur to them that the joke that they are making may have been made before. It does not occur to them that checking to see if it's been made is something that they should do in the course of making their joke. And finally, of course, it's just people, I think, often are very confident. They're confident that they are the first people to make a joke. So this week's Abolish the Senate is reminding us how writing in drafts in the email account, they share the password to never sending emails. I feel like if it worked out for them, then I am on the road to success. I am going to assume by the fact that Abolish knows that they did that it ended up being a bad idea. And I am not here to repeat. If there's one thing that I say over and over again to my friends, colleagues, strangers, and enemies, is that I am not here to repeat the mistakes of one General Petraeus and his affair partner, journalist Paula Broadwell. That's the one thing I don't do. I am trying not to do it, so thank you for letting me know if I was about to engage in that kind of behavior. But this week's joke of the week, the joke that everyone's been making, is of course in reference to this fucking House of Gucci, which everyone thinks should have been called a Gucci movie. These are all the same joke, very small variations between the jokes. Why did they call it House of Gucci and not a Gucci movie? Why didn't they call it a Gucci movie? Why didn't they call it a very Gucci movie? Why didn't they call it House of Gucci when a Gucci movie is right there? And then you can do some more. Why not? Sure, not sure why they didn't call it a very Gucci movie. Send tweet. Why didn't they call it a Gucci movie? Just saying. GIF of her drinking from her tiny teacup. Why did they call it a House of Gucci and not an extremely Gucci movie? So some people thought it should have just been a Gucci movie. Some people thought it should have been an extremely Gucci movie. And some people thought it should have been a very Gucci movie. So everyone loves wordplay. I assume Lady Gaga also loves wordplay. I also assume that Ridley Scott hates wordplay because he seems to hate a lot of things. So I assume, my assumption with regard to the House of Gucci movie is that everyone was on board with calling it a Gucci movie. But I assume, again, I do not have insider Hollywood info, but my assumption is that Ridley Scott shut that down. He's like, why would we name this movie after a movie about dogs? Doesn't make any sense. I'm sure he scrapped it. I'm sure everyone was very upset. So that is the joke of the week. Why didn't they call it a Gucci movie when a Gucci movie was right there? So yeah, that's the joke of the week. So hopefully every week we'll have a new joke of the week. If I notice a joke of the week, I'll let you guys know, and I'll let America know whether we have a new joke that everyone is making. So yeah, that's another orb guy. You can see why I'm not necessarily overly employed with the organizational skills that I employ. Oh, this one I have to watch. This is, to me, the video of the week. If you've never seen this video of the week, we are going to play it for you right now. I don't know if the volume works, but I am going to tell you that the volume does not matter. I watched this video this week. I'm calling it the video of the week. I hope you enjoy it too. Very beautiful cut of meat. Very beautiful cut of meat. I agree with you, Abolish. People can cook however they want. I just think it's funny that he would post this video. And again, I'm not even against the end result of this video. I just think it's funny how he presents his own cooking. And again, I'm not saying that anything he does is necessarily wrong. I think that we are just, you know what, we are coddled by, the cooking that looks good industry. We are coddled by the way people show themselves cooking, and then when somebody shows them cooking in a way that we are not used to, I think that we panic. I think we panic, and we don't know how to react to it. But I feel like, however you feel regarding, the quality of the kitchen, the quality of his, like, should he be handling everything without any sort of implements whatsoever? That's a question for God, really. It's a question for God. It's a question for Jesus. It's a question. I really don't like it when he flips it with his bare hands. I don't like it when he loses the first cut of meat. I think I would say the two upsetting parts are when he moves it with his bare hands and when he loses the first cut of meat. And then you look at it, you look at the end result, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And there we go. I think it's a beautiful dish, well plated. And what happened in the kitchen? We saw it, but did we? Did we really? I would say if we saw it, no, we didn't. Yeah, I think that everyone. What I like about this video and what I think makes it interesting is I think that the people reacting to it, I don't think are cruel necessarily, or that their standards are too high. I just think we all have in our own personal lives just like one or two triggers. Like some people, I think, are really turned off by the moment that Pfeiffer is mentioning where he pulls the dirty bowl out from under the other dirty dishes. I am turned off by when he turns the meat with his bare hand. Other people may have within that video something that personally bothers them. And I think it's a really interesting Rorschach test, and just in terms of like, what is it about cooking that you really need to be true if you are going to watch someone else cook? And I think that's a great test just to see what presses your buttons, because I feel like that video almost intentionally seems to be pressing a lot of buttons, at least in terms of the results of it and the outcome. Yeah. The hands could be clean. I'm not worried about his hands being dirty. I'm just afraid of him touching like hot boiling oil with his hands. I'm just afraid of him getting hurt with fiber. That's really all there is to it. That's just a little bit about me. Yeah, I'm trying not to get distracted by the trending topics. There's a lot of bullshit that happened this week that I am reacting to or not reacting to in different ways. Here is one of my favorite anecdotes of the week. I think it's important for us to have things that make us happy, things that we find joy in, and things that we think that put a positive spin on the world and the universe and our own happiness. And a lot of times, the way local news does it is that they'll create these sort of feel-good stories that are about like children selling pies so that their father can get health care, that are ultimately, for anyone who is a thoughtful person, actually incredibly depressing. What I like about this anecdote is that I think this is a really wholesome anecdote about what a still living hero of cinema and of comedy, and we're going to just talk about it right now. So the interviewer, and I'm going to just put it out there. I don't know if this was a recent interview. I don't know if this was a far in the past interview. I just know that it's an interview that has recently gone viral. You have the guy interviewing Mel Brooks says, you have some wonderful stories of basically getting away with stuff at the studio. And he says, I learned one very simple trick. Say yes, just say yes. Like Joseph Levine on The Producers said, the curly-haired guy, he's funny looking, fire him. He wanted me to fire Gene Wilder, and I said, yes, he's gone, I'm firing him. And I never did, but he forgot. After the screening of Blazing Saddles, the head of Warner Brothers threw me into the manager's office, gave me a legal pad and pencil, and gave me maybe 20 notes. He would have changed Blazing Saddles from a daring, crazy, funny picture to a stultified, dull, dusty old Western. He said, no farting. I said, it's out. And then the interviewer says, that's probably the most famous scene in the movie, the campfire scene. Mel Brooks says, I know. He said, you can't punch a horse. I said, you'll never see it again. I kept saying, you're absolutely right. It's out. And when he left, I crumpled up all their notes, and I tossed it in the waste paper basket. And John Calley, who was running production at Warner Brothers at the time, said, good filing. That was the end of it. You say yes, and you never do it. I think this is a really inspiring message just about how there are so many people in every creative process. Anytime anything of any magnitude is being created, there's going to be people whose job it is to sort of get in the middle of it and to prove to themselves that they are helping and that they are involved in the process. And this is a great anecdote just to point out that there are certain people who simply do not merit, treating their feedback as important and treating it as something that you need to necessarily listen to, while at the same time, all you have to be is polite and you will completely defang their entire effort. And I think that's a beautiful thing to remember as we, go into the winter and as we may be feeling confident or lack of confidence about our own art. I think it's a beautiful story about a man who just knew in his heart that that fart scene really had to be in there. He just really had to be in there. I think that's beautiful. So those are some of my, that's my favorite anecdote of the week. That's my favorite joke of the week. Is there anything else in the old Rachel Gmail drafts bin? Otherwise, I will talk to you about some of my favorite movies. Oh, this is one of my favorite videos of the week. This is my second favorite video of the week. If you haven't seen it, I don't know if you do have to hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Please let me know if you can't. But otherwise, we're just going to listen to it. I think it's beautiful. No, it's not working. And now it's going to stop working, which is great. It's fine. You just have to relax sometimes. You just have to let the video load or not load. Either way, that's life. That's the breaks, kid. So Oprah's eating this woman's cooking. Oprah's eating this woman's cooking, and she will not say whether she likes it, making the woman visibly uncomfortable. And she's really taking her time with each bite.
I do like it.
Hello, Ansel.
I like it very much. I think, did we add salt and pepper? I think we needed salt and pepper.
No, there's no salt and pepper in it. You can add it yourself.
I was just like, I think it's delicious.
I love this video because I don't tend to think of Oprah as one of our greatest comedians, but I do feel like this clip is incredibly funny. It's very mean. It's very mean. It's very funny to watch Oprah destroy this woman's life on her show. The woman made what looks to the naked eye like a very fine meal for the host of Oprah's show, Oprah. And the fact that Oprah is being so reticent with her approval based on the lack of seasoning plays into certain larger concepts and stereotypes of the culture, which I think we can all appreciate. Now, I think that Oprah is an interesting figure, as Dr. Oz, I believe, is now gunning for a senator position. He's going to be running for senator, I believe, of Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz is, of course, a notorious snake oil merchant. He will basically put anyone on his show that will make him money, regardless of the scientific veracity of their claims. And he also may have noticed that I believe the person he had on his radio show today, having just announced his run for Senate, is Jordan Peterson. In case you were wondering whether Dr. Oz could possibly have good politics outside of the fact that he is a swindler. So to me, while this clip is very fun and funny, it does make one a little wistful for the fact that Oprah could have destroyed people like Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz had she wanted, and instead she built them up into empires of their own. And now, if Dr. Oz does become a senator, she will have been instrumental in a disastrous series of events leading to the elected official who has grown his empire of riches based entirely on mistruths. So, Abolish the Senate says, I just Googled it. It seems like it might have been edited misleadingly. If that is true, then I rescind all the comments I've made about Oprah and not the ones about supporting bad people, but the ones where I said this was really funny, if this wasn't intentional. She also gave J.D. Vance his fame with her book club. Yeah, she is her book club, man. At least did Alice Sebold? Now I'm curious. Was Alice Sebold on Oprah? Did she also platform Alice Sebold? We're gonna find out now. Alice Sebold's book Lovely Bones is featured on Oprah.com. We can go to Alice Sebold's Wikipedia to see if she has been on Oprah's show ever. The reason I bring up she does not have Oprah on her Wikipedia. The reason I bring up Alice Sebold is because I believe they're going to stop producing copies of her memoir Lucky based on the fact that it's been revealed that she fingered the wrong man who then subsequently had, I believe, to spend 10 years in prison for a rape he did not commit, who was not even the same person that she fingered in the lineup, and who may have not even been the same person who said hello to her on the street. So she's in quite a big pickle there in terms of all of this coming to light, and considering how much her own experiences have colored and created her own sort of literary background and her own mystique. So this is, I think, almost like a developing story that I probably don't have the chops to really go into. I try to be responsible on my show and not be somebody who claims that they are a reporter or an analyst or basically anybody but sort of a fun guy to listen to. But that is a story which interests me just because of the literary malfeasance and the sort of the moral turpitude, if you will, that it displays in its protagonist. She appeared on Oprah as the victim who fought back, the guardian. She fought back so hard that she hit somebody who wasn't even there. The Pfeiffer says, Oz just bought a house outside Philly. That is so foreboding. And I don't really know. I couldn't really tell you what, the political atmosphere in Pennsylvania is like, how many Democratic versus Republican senators they have historically. So I really can't kind of speak to Dr. Oz's odds. I feel like being sort of a celebrity spokesperson who is still somewhat trusted from a swath of the community, like I don't have a good feeling about it. I feel like in the Northeast there's a bit less state pride, more city pride, so easier for famous people to say, I'll run for Senate here, like Hillary Clinton from New York State. The Pfeiffer says it's 50-50. Yeah. Of course, states are all imaginary anyway. People always talk about Massachusetts as being, the super liberal state. Like we don't constantly have a Republican governor. Like the whole West, like Western Mass doesn't exist. States they should just get rid of states. They don't tell you anything. They don't tell you anything important. At least I think I'm not. Am I officially on my own channel, on my own show, legitimately proposing that they abolish statehood as a concept? Maybe. Green Knight is also trending. Let's see what's up with that. Oh, coming up because apparently they're having best film lists. Excellent. Apparently, Democrats are so evenly distributed through Mass, it's really hard to draw Republican districts anywhere, at least at the U.S. House level. Well, that's a good thing. They can't gerrymander us because we are perfectly blended. The bowl's been shaken, and you can't make your little weird evil shapes around us. I am going to look at the 10 best movies of 2021. I am looking at this for a few reasons. I had not planned on looking at this list during the show, but I'm very excited. Yeah, abolish the Senate is completely right. A lot of Democrats vote for GOP governors. I think basically, and it's been explained to me that a lot of people think that voting for, a Democratic senator and then Republican governor, like, evens it out or, like, makes them moderate or makes them reasonable. When all it does is it gives us shitty governors. But I think that there is some sort of, like, twisted alien evil logic behind that phenomenon. Not that I've ever voted for a Republican, but I think that there is some kind of weird circumstance where people think that by voting for both parties that they are evening things out, which again is ultimately very stupid. Ansel is saying Ansel is saying she is very excited to see my reaction to this list. I'm excited to see this reaction too. I've read that the difference with California, where Dems now dominate everything, might be down to difference in tax policy, but the explanation is lengthy. Pfeiffer says, I'm a simpleton, curious to see if I watched any of these movies. Richard Lawson is one of my favorite film critics, so I'm also curious about whether I've seen his idea of what the 10 best movies were. I'm excited to see how many I've seen, and I'm excited to see whether I agree with him when I have seen them. Bergman Island I have not seen. First, Richard Lawson writes, this was the year we returned to theaters, traveled to film festivals, and were happily shown a dazzling array of the world's best cinematic offerings. While by no means the only great films of 2021, these were my 10 favorites. They're invigorating reminders of how transformative, transporting, and enlightening the art form can be, especially when viewed in the dark, finally away from the couch. So Bergman Island I haven't seen. However, I do believe it's on Criterion now. So you can see it right now. If you have Criterion, I believe I saw it there. Venom 2, I've not seen Venom 2, but I do believe that it also, just by the fact that it's Venom and its sequel, I do believe it does deserve a berth on this list. Let's see if it gets it. It seems like this Bergman Island, I don't know much about it. It seems like it's starring the actor from Pulp Fiction, whose name I can't remember, and Vicky Krieps, of course, from Phantom Thread and Old. So already, great cast. We'll check it out sometime. It's being called by Richard Lawson a graceful mood piece about a filmmaker struggling towards an idea for a new film. So just how many meta layers comprise Bergman Island is a question the film begins to ask of itself when Chris's idea becomes manifest, a story within a story. So it seems like it's meta, it's a mood piece. The words melancholy, gentle humor are in there. A slight little reverie is in there, but a sneaky depth is also in there. So if you like films that are a graceful mood piece, a melancholy reverie, and that contain a sneaky depth, I believe Richard Lawson is saying you should see Bergman Island. Other movies, I did see The Green Knight, was very good. Glad to see it here. I believe Green Knight was the first, no, not true, it was the second film I saw in theaters since the beginning of the pandemic. The first one was, of course, Fast and Furious 9. Fast and Furious 9. I remember because everyone is now making a joke about how the next one should be called Fast 10 Your Seatbelts. And that's how I remember we're on 9. So, David Lowry is, of course, the director of Green Knight, and it's very beautiful. According to Richard Lawson, it maintains a steadfast humanism, reflecting our own messy, irrational selves. I would say it's a beautiful, funny downer. It was a little depressing, ultimately, but I thought it was definitely worthwhile and multiple times very beautiful and poignant. I've only seen one movie in theaters since Dune 5 days ago. Luckily, I think more and more, a lot of these movies are just going to be getting, again, for better or for worse, but certainly good for health, like public health. A lot of these movies will just be getting a simultaneous streaming debut. So I think more and more we have to worry less and less about being able to catch these in theaters to see them, right away. Mass, I did not see. I haven't heard of Mass. It's according to Richard Lawson, the shattering yet never melodramatic film is like good theater in the best way. It's finely performed, grippingly written four-hander that leaves the viewer rattled and spent. Hello, everyone. Oh, by the video, you mean video of me. Hello. Welcome back. If you got lost for a moment, if the stream stopped working, thank you for hanging in there, and thank you for waiting for its return. So, we're just talking about movies. We're just talking about whether I have seen the movies on this list. I have not seen The Humans. I have not heard of The Humans. It's a horror. It's a sinking of family Thanksgiving get together that sinks into the dark. They bicker and worry together in prickly harmony, and something ominous closes in on them. So it sounds very scary. It sounds like a horror movie, but very also good. So The Humans, I have not seen it, but I will be looking out for it. The Souvenir Part 2, I have heard of The Souvenir Part 2. I did see The Souvenir Part 1. I have not seen The Souvenir Part 2. I am beginning to feel a little silly. And so, no worries at all. I am often behind the cutting edge movies that are talked about for the first time. A lot of my watching, a lot of my film views lately have been like backwards looking, like catching up on things, as opposed to watching kind of things that have come out right away. So this is a look back at Joanna Hogg's Troubled, Exciting Salad Days. It's a memoir as a way to pay homage to a more universal kind of self-assertion and exploration. Starring the daughter of Tilda Swinton, Honor Swinton, as proud to be, adds layers to her performance, while a host of handsome men flit in and out of her life as lovers, thwarters, and almost mentors. So that is, again, a movie. I saw the first part, have not seen this iteration. Flea. I think I just saw one of my favorite critics review Flea. I have not read the review, but I have technically, for view of that, have heard of this film. The phrase animated documentary is an odd one, but James Power Rasmussen uses animation to get closer to the truth that he might have otherwise in his harrowing, heartbreaking illustration of a friend's flight from Afghanistan. So this is going to be, it maintains a specificity, it's up-close biography. So many other lives and narratives are evoked, ones that are all too often bundled into one seething collective of trauma and only rarely realized deliverance. Come on. I have heard of this one. I've seen trailers for it. I did see a tweet also saying that what A24 is doing in terms of promoting it is a crime. People have said that A24 needs to really push this movie, that it really deserves getting pushed, and that it's just getting swallowed up in the tumult, swallowed up in the cresting waves of general human consciousness. Sweet but not cloying, this achingly lovely film is a funny side pay into the difficulties and joys of helping to raise a child. Do you like raising children? Do you wish that there were more funny side pans to its difficulties and joys? Well, this film's for fucking you. It's come on. Starring Joaquin Phoenix and first-time film actor Woody Norman. A great name, amazing name, Woody Norman. You think it's going to be Norman Woody? It's going to be Woody Norman. And those two have a scrappy, winsome chemistry as an uncle and nephew who are yoked together, at first uneasily, and then in slow, incredible evolution as happy partners in mutual care. So that is a very fun-looking movie, and I'm excited to see it. I hope you guys are too. Their appeals to see the movie can just be saying the name of the movie a bunch. Come on, see the movie. Come on, see, come on. I heard there's a new movie out. Really? What's it called? Come on. Okay, yeah, I said, come on, tell me about the new movie. I'm telling you, it's called Come On. No, come on, tell me about the new movie. No one likes this but me, that's totally fine. Sometimes you just stream for yourself and for Ansel. Thank you, Ansel, for doing it. Number 3, The Power of the Dog. I just saw this on Sunday. Sunday. It's Jane Campion's new one. Is she our greatest living director? Probably. I don't need to read the synopsis. I'll just tell you what it's about because I saw it. The second movie of this top 10 film list of the year, which I have seen. Here's how this movie works. This movie is about 2 brothers. One of them's a huge asshole. That one's played by Benedict Cumberbatch. One of them is pretty cool, but also could be better. Jesse Plemons. Falls in love with and marries Kirsten Dunst. She is a sad widow, and she has a teenage son who is sort of awkward and effeminate. Kirsten goes to live with Jesse Plemons and Benedict Cumberbatch, and Benedict Cumberbatch makes her life hell. He makes her life hell. He has a huge asshole, and it's a little weird because you're not sure where it's coming from until you learn more about Benedict Cumberbatch's life, until you learn what's driving him. He is repressed in a very particular way, and eventually he strikes up a relationship with her son in a way that feels very compelling and very interesting, and there's lots of tension there. So find out what happens in Power of the Dog. Again, I loved it. I believe it's going to be on Netflix. I think right now. I believe it's on Netflix right now, actually. So you can go see this in theaters. You can go see it on Netflix. But that is there for you to watch. Again, by Jane Campion, one of our greatest living film directors. 2, Drive My Car. Fuck, I have not heard of this. I've not seen it. I can't tell you anything about it. Grief, Chekhov, and a gorgeous old red sab, 900 commingle in Hamaguchi's arresting adaptation of a Haruki Murakami short story concerning a theater director who has lost his wife and is embarking on a new endeavor, directing a production of Uncle Vanya starring an international cast of actors. This 3-hour film may seem daunting, but Hamaguchi makes it slide by, carefully meting out detail and motivation in rich novelistic fashion. So yeah, that one sounds fucking dope. I've not heard of it, but definitely find a way to see it and watch it right now. Kong Skull Island sounds also pretty fun. This one, I've heard of it. I've not seen it. But I will say, if this is the Joachim, I don't know how to say his name. I don't know how. If anyone knows how, feel free to let me know. The Joachim Trier, I believe his previous project was Selma. You guys have seen Selma. We're going to look up Selma right now. If my computer lets me. My computer is stop making me do shit, Rachel. I only watch it because the director and studio are doing a live action Gundam. So Selma, yes, it's by Joachim Trier. I assume that's how you say it. Filmography. Yes, so I have not seen The Worst Person in the World, but I have seen Selma, and Selma fucking rules. Selma, I would like to recommend to you right now if you have Criterion. I also think it's on Hulu, but basically, Selma fucking rules. Selma is a movie about a young woman who has mysterious powers, which she is learning how to control, and her parents who are very afraid of her powers. who are also very religious. And Thelma is coming of age, she's coming into her powers, and she's coming into liking another woman and having sexual feelings. So it's a great movie about repression. It's a great movie about, coming of age as a young woman with an unsupportive family. And I think it's just a really good movie. It just feels, it's like there's like parts of it that feel like a superhero movie, but that's also like, it's also very like smart and feels very like oppressive and cold and kind of like interesting. Like it's like a Nordic. She's like a Nordic superhero, like, and all that entails. I would say Thelma is up there with like Let Me In, or yeah. So if you like the vampire movie, if you like the vampire Nordic movie, you'll like this like superhero Nordic movie. Hell yeah, it's fucking rules. So I can't imagine it's at least as not as good as that one. The Worst Person in the World is number one. According to Richard Lawson, by whom Trier's gregarious, wistful, stylish, utterly winning film. I decided it was a tribute to people who don't want to have kids and are thus tasked with figuring out what their lives are going to mean. I talked to friends and colleagues who thought the movie was instead about the banal agonies of turning 30, about the unbridgeable chasms of heterosexual coupling, and about millennial malaise. The thrill of Trier's masterwork is that it is all of those things and almost certainly plenty else, with a luminous Renate Reiss at the center as Julie, a woman dancing through Oslo and her early adulthood. And haven't we all at some point been Julie, a woman dancing through Oslo in her early adulthood? The Worst Person in the World is a treasure trove of insight and observation. Is Julie selfish or one of the worst? These questions of fledgling grown-up solipsism may seem airy thin, well covered by myriad other movies already, but Trier has more in his mind than mere 30-something flaneuring. I've literally never seen this word before. I feel very silly. As this film draws toward its crushing and elating end, we see what all of this wondering about the future and all the yearning for the past, both rueful and nostalgic, is really in service of. The Worst Person in the World is about that most vexing and essential thing, the present tense, which is Trier prudently suggests in his film Beguiling Final Scenes is the only time we've really got. So those are the top 10 films according to Richard Lawson. I have seen 2 of them, and I've heard of most of them. So that is visiting a potential top 10. Those films should probably worth seeing. Even if your top 10, they certainly made Richard Lawson's. Again, big fan. I'm a big movie fan, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having not heard of most of those films. These are not the films, again, that are the tentpole films. These are not the films with, $100 million promotion and advertising budgets. These are not the films that you see commercials for, 5 times while you watch Jeopardy. It's not anyone's particular fault. It's not anyone's fault that they haven't heard of these films. It's just the question is, that's a continuing question, is how do we continue to put ourselves in a place where we are watching films that we personally love and enjoy, and where we feel like we are supporting artists who make those kinds of art for us. So that's my feeling about that. So that was just sort of a tangent that became sort of its own segment, just looking at Richard Lawson's top 10. Other things that are happening this week, other things that we're talking about. I'll tell you guys what I'm talking about or what I'm interested in. I saw, thank you, Ansel. I saw 3 films this weekend. 3 films into completion. It's so funny to say to completion because it sounds so dirty. But all I mean is that unlike, I would say that of all the films I start, I probably finish like somewhere between 1/2 and 2/3 of them. So even as I watch a lot of movies, there's a lot of movies that I start and then I just don't finish. And I don't finish them for a lot of different reasons, but whenever I do finish a movie, it feels pretty good. So I watched 3 movies myself this weekend. I watched Power of the Dog, which is the new Jane Campion, and then I watched 2 other Jane Campions. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I'll be real honest, I had not seen a Jane Campion film before this weekend. But Pfeiffer, it's okay to enjoy Hawkeye. It's okay. It's made to be enjoyed. It's not anyone's responsibility to not enjoy it. I choose to not subscribe to Disney Plus because I'm unbearable. But that's just me. But the 3 films I watched this weekend were Power of the Dog, In the Cut, and Bright Star. So these are not every. I think I don't know how many movies Jane Campion has made. I want to say, totally guessing here, maybe about 10. So if we say that Jane Campion has made about 10 movies, probably not quite that, but I'm just sort of ballparking. I tried to see 3 this weekend. So this one I want to talk about. I want to talk about Bright Star for a moment because I think it's really good. Bright Star. First of all, I really want to say it's really good. You may look at this poster and you may think, oh, I don't know how I feel about that font. I don't know how I feel about a poster that's just 2 big faces. They are very attractive faces, but 2 just giant faces nonetheless. And you might also find First Love Burns the Brightest. You might find that sort of a silly tagline. You may find that unsuccessful in getting you excited for this film. But I will say about Bright Star, I was not prepared. I would say that Bright Star is, if not the most romantic film I've ever seen, almost assuredly among the most romantic films I've ever seen. If Pfeiffer says if it was up to me, it would all magically appear on the Plex server. But I am going to say, if you like romantic films, if you like films where people fall in love and it feels pretty real, this one is the one for you. Now, am I going to say that it is a happy ending? Absolutely not. This movie does not have a happy ending, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because it's about real people. It's about John Keats and Fanny Braun. Is it Fanny Braun? I believe it's Fanny Braun. Yeah, Fanny Braun and John Keats. So John Keats, I believe, is famous. If you do, you're probably like, oh, I've probably heard that name. You may not know more than that name, but you definitely have heard that name. He is one of the Romantic poets, and he is considered one of the greatest Romantic poets. You may have seen or heard or read his poetry in school at some point. It's really great. And he's famous because he died of tuberculosis when he was 25. So we already know going into the film that there's no happy ending because this dude dies at 25 from tuberculosis, which we assume, picked up from his tubercular brother. I believe he was Tom Keats. He died a few years before John. Now, A Bright Star relates the love affair between poet John Keats and a young woman named Fanny Braun, who is a clothes maker and sort of a gentle lady. She's like a gentle lady who's very eligible and who has a lot of pressure on her to make a good match. John Keats is not a good match. He has no money. He's poor, as you might assume a poet is. He's poor and he has no income, and he is trying throughout the film to make an income from his poetry, and it's not working. Now, if you want to get mad, what I recommend is reading his Wikipedia page, where you find out that when his mother died, John Keats' mother left him 8,000 pounds, which would have been a wonderful amount for him to have. Like, just a lot of money. It was actually either 800 or 8,000, but in any case, it was a lot of money. And for some sort of dumb, it was some sort of like dumb mix-up or some sort of failure on the part of the pencil pushers. He never got his portion. So he was broke in a way that was completely avoidable. There was money for him, it just never got to him. So read his Wikipedia if you want to get mad. But this idea is that they love each other, they fall in love. They fall in love slowly. I really appreciate in the movie how their love sort of develops so gradually and organically, and how you can really start to see how, even though they have this sort of immediate natural connection, that the connection kind of grows over time. I really love that. Even though they clearly have real feelings for each other, John Keats is never considered a serious suitor for the fact that he has no wealth and he has nothing to offer. Then that becomes not his biggest problem, as later in the film he gets sick, increasingly sick, sort of alarmingly sick, and they have to plan for him. They do like the sort of last minute plan among his friends to send him to Italy with the idea that Italy's climate will be better for his health than the climate of England during winter. So it's a tragic story of a man who dies in a foreign land after a very difficult life, writing poetry for no money, having no money, and being in love with a woman he can't marry. For me, it's just really gorgeous. I really feel like the two leads feel very authentic in their performances, and the story and the struggle that they have feels very is obviously real because it's based on a real story. But I feel like the themes and and how they relate to what he's writing at the time, there's this lovely resonance, and there's this lovely sort of effect of everything sort of feeling beautiful and heightened, even as the circumstances sort of become more and more unwalkable. You're like, we cannot sort of overcome these obstacles, but the love and the art that we make in these moments feel incredibly powerful all the same. So I would recommend, if you like falling in love with movies and you don't necessarily care whether or not everybody survives in the end and there's not necessarily a happy ending, then Bright Star is for you. The other film I saw this weekend is a movie called In the Cut. In the Cut, looking for a big old poster, if I can find one. There we go, big old poster of In the Cut, starring Meg Ryan, Mark Ruffalo, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. This movie was, according to Wikipedia, pilloried upon release. No one got it. No one got it at all. People were like, this is just a stupid crime sexy thriller. Why are you making this Jane Campion? It's a lot more than that. So this is an erotic thriller, which does mean that there are murders and there is sex. I believe those two things. I believe if a movie has murders and sex and a lot of shadows, that it qualifies as an erotic thriller. It's a movie about a teacher, an English teacher played by Meg Ryan, who sort of becomes involved in this murder investigation. There's a serial killer in New York on the loose who cuts off women's heads, and also the women have rings on their finger. And Mark Ruffalo plays the police investigator who is hot on the trail of the killer. And it's also about the relationship that Meg Ryan and Mark Ruffalo develop over the course of the film. Now, this film is a lot about sort of, the dangerousness of commitment, sort of the difficulties of trying to be a woman in a I don't want to say a woman in a man's world. It sounds very stupid, but it is about that, but like in a way that's smart, like smarter than my own capacity to describe it. Like the men around Meg Ryan are just really hard to deal with, and you really feel like her struggles to maintain her own independence is the kind of the real story of the film, no matter what else is happening. I think it has a really bravura final reel. The way it all sort of revolves, I found resolves rather, not revolves. The way it all resolves, I think, was very satisfying, and I think it really kind of brings a lot of the themes of 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 the gender dynamics and of being vulnerable in relationships and committing to each other. I think it brings all those themes to a really beautiful crescendo. Crescendo, probably crescendo, not crescendo. But anyway, In the Cut came out in 2003. Has a very against type performance by Meg Ryan. You do not expect Meg Ryan in an erotic thriller, or at least I didn't. Mark Ruffalo is great. Jennifer Jason Leigh is great. Great film overall from 2003. So see it when you can. If again, it's a little bit darker than Bright Star, but again, it has that Jane Campion masterpiece. Her whole deal. It's a beautiful film. It's a smart film. Go see that film online. All of these films are online. I saw them online. You can see them online. These are all on the Criterion channel. What else is there to talk about? We have about 10 minutes left. How are you doing in the chat? Feel free to say hello. Feel free to say hi. I'm having a lot of fun tonight. I hope you guys are having a lot of fun too. Happy to talk about the things that I love. Other things that have happened this week. This cat wore little people gloves. Little hand gloves is always a lot of fun. If you are interested in more content from this channel, I believe coming up this Friday at 9 p.m., we have a new episode of 69 Minutes of Sex with Me. I believe I am scheduled, so you get to see me on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and a host of other funny people will be telling jokes about what our sex is like. I'll give you an example right now. This glass, Sex with Me is like this glass because it's half full. If you're an optimist, that is Sex with Me. That's a joke, and you'll hear hundreds of other jokes of better quality than that if you watch Friday's edition of Sex with Me, 69 Minutes of Sex with Me. You can also see, as you can see, every Friday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know. See you later. Abolish. We have just a few minutes left. If you are interested in a wonderful morning show, we have a great morning show every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time called Hello Weekend. It is a favorite of mine. I help book the guests, and it's hosted by our very own Matt Fear and Chloe Zwicker. Zwicker. I'm doing a great job today. I'm going to give myself an award today. I'm going to give myself a Good at Pronouncing Other People's Names award. I think I've been doing a great job throughout the night, and I'm happy to continue saying people's names once I get off this stream. But Hello Weekend is a great show. Every Friday at 9:30 a.m., two incredibly charming hosts talk about their week, talk about fun facts in the news, share fun videos which they've seen, which they enjoy, and also do great interviews with guests who are writers, comedians, artists, and other creatives in that vein. And I'm always so happy to see us be able to host people with projects that they are so passionate about to promote and to explain to the audience. I think that's just a really great time. Yeah, if you think I've done a great job pronouncing people's names tonight, feel free to throw some trophies in the chat. I love a good trophy. I love trophies so much, I refer to them as trophies in a casual, offhand manner. That shows how tight I am with trophies. Other things that have happened this week, other things you guys want to just talk about. Oh God, I'm out of material. Oh no. I do want to say one thing, which I'm excited to do. I almost forgot that I was like, am I going to talk about this? am I not going to talk about this? But then I decided, you know what, I will. Not just because we have 7 minutes left, but also because we have 7 minutes left. One thing I'm working on, I have before during the show mentioned the very special segment that's special to me, Rachel's Stupid Writing Corner, and I am excited to show you that I have been writing a lot this week. I have been writing specifically a fantasy, what I'm hoping to be one of 3 stories in a fully bound collection of fantasy erotica stories. If you like dirty stories that have that are fantasy and also have parts of them that are dirty, by which I mean adult, then I am writing a collection of stories for you. You can tell I'm serious because I'm at 28 pages. This is about 6,000 words. And I'm very excited to hopefully get it to at least 20,000. Basically, I was talking to someone who does literary agent work, who is a literary agent, and he said that a novel or a publishable, a manuscript of publishable length is about 60,000 words. So, as I assume, if my collection has 3 stories in it, each story needs to be about 20,000 words. So this story right now is about 6,000 words, so it's about 1/3 done or so. So I'll continue to be working on that and then be building up. I have 2 other ideas, which I believe will be the ideas I'll be working from in terms of building up the 2 other stories in this collection. So if you are interested in being a beta reader, if you're like, I really want to read some unpublished collection that has dirty parts in it by my favorite Twitch streamer, I'm assuming I'm all of your favorite Twitch streamer, then let me know. I've never written this is already, at 6,000 words, this is already the longest story I've ever written. Writing for novel length is a very interesting. I won't mince words here. I find it easier in some ways than writing a short story. I've written short stories, and I find that format almost gruesomely difficult. Short stories are really hard because it feels like every sentence, first of all, it feels like every sentence needs to be perfect, and it feels like everything needs to wrap up extremely quickly and extremely well, as opposed to what I like, which is being able to slowly develop a relationship between 2 characters that you get to evolve over the course of a few thousand or a few thousand words. So that is I'm working right now. Just a brief synopsis of this one. This is a story about I've been kind of bouncing between the different titles. Like, is it called The Expedition? Is it called The Two Guardians? Good night, Pfeiffer. We're almost done. I was like, oh no, is this show going on too long? Everyone's dropping like flies. But basically, the basic premise of this story is that there are 2 guardians in this wood who've made a pact with this village. The village sends one young man every 20 years into the woods to be basically a servant of these 2 brothers. And after the end of that week, because you are a servant for a week, after the end of that week, you are have your memory wiped. So nobody who enters into this ritual has any memory of what happens. And then so this young man who's going into these woods and meeting these brothers, he has no idea what will happen because nobody who's done it before can tell him what happened. Yeah. People are like, I don't think I can stay up until fucking 4 a.m. for a Wednesday. Are you okay? So yeah, I'm really excited. I feel like it's getting some cool places. I don't really know how to talk about my writing or what. I think I'm really excited mostly about I feel like I'm starting to suss out the personalities of the characters. I feel like characters, like developing characters, can always make me a little bit itchy because I always feel like writing like has a sense of like pouring from your fingertips, but then character development feels almost like that you're like almost imposing onto what you're writing. And so I feel like I've gone into a pretty good groove of characters who feel defined even as I'm sort of like slowly unwinding their story. So I'm pretty excited about that. Anyways, we're going to wrap up in another minute or two. Again, if you want to support the channel, feel free to subscribe. We love it when people subscribe to the channel. It helps us pay for things like our subscriptions to the services which help make these shows possible. For example, we make graphics on Canva. We have a Canva subscription, which we need to pay for every month. We use services like StreamYard and Streamlab. We also need to pay for those, the licenses. We also will sort of spend the money in different ways. And so it's always good to have support of the channel so that it's paying for itself, so that we get to keep it running. And if you want to help do that for us, you can subscribe to the channel. You can give us a tip in our Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/2mb. It's ko-fi.com/2mb studios. That's where we are. If you want to give us a cup of coffee, you can also support us by going to our patreon.com/2mb studios, and you can be a monthly subscriber if that is interesting to you. You can also get a t-shirt. If you ever want to get a t-shirt or another piece of merchandise, we have a lot of merch on the merch store. You can get, and everything's on sale right now. Everything is on sale. Live, Laugh, Loaf's on sale. The Sarah Jane Burns collab t-shirt she made us for this. She made this art for us this summer. I think it's really beautiful. It's 4 sandwiches that have a lot of bread on it, and it's beautiful watercolors. Sarah Jane Burns has a really great Instagram. If you are on Instagram, you can follow her and see all of her great watercolor portraits and paintings. Awesome. So I think we're going to wrap up now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of the show. Again, it's always fun to see people talking, chatting in the comments. Seeing you guys be active really makes my day brighter. And otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night and a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you, Ansel. Thank you, Miles. And I'll see you all next week. And again, if you want to see me before that, I'm on the show this Friday at 9, 69 minutes of Sex With Me. My Sex With Me is like this show. It ends at 10:30. Good night, good luck, and good posting.